to be honest, learning multiple languages is really tough. But it is not impossible. So what I would recommend you is to study 1 to maximum 3 languages at once. Don't do too many languages and then you get lost, you start a new one, and you never really get intermediate in one of these languages. So, but I personally, for example, right now I study only 2 languages actively. It's Turkish and Persian. Persian I already have an intermediate level. I would recommend you also to only add a new language when you already have intermediate level. Like I have in Persian, I had intermediate level in Persian, and then I added Turkish. And the third language that I'm also currently, it's not really active learning, it's more passively, it's Spanish. So I'm just trying to sometimes watch some movies, read something. It's more passively, but really don't learn too many languages at once. Only if you have a lot of time. But I think most of you guys don't have that much time, so please don't overwhelm yourself. And I really would differentiate between active and passive learning. So actively, I would only study really maximum 3, but I think it's like 1 or 2 focus languages, and then have different levels. Like one language is intermediate, the other one is beginner. So passively, you can do whatever you want. You can read a book in Chinese, watch a listen to a Spanish podcast, listen to something in the car in, I don't know, Korean. I don't mind, you can do whatever you want. You can do it in how many languages you want, in my opinion, if you have really good level already in these languages, in order to not forget them and to incorporate it in your daily life. So just get some passive input in also other languages, but really just focus on 1, 2, maximum 3 languages, okay? Please don't do too much. And if you have too many languages at once, you won't really progress in any of these because it's just too much to study. And if you really want to see good results, then just really focus on 1 to 2 languages. Yeah, but that's my recommendation. Everyone is different. But I know that most of you don't have so much time, so really don't do it. You only have 1 language in the beginner stage, because you still need to learn a lot of new things, and it would be really hard to learn 2 languages at the same time in the beginner stage. It's just too much. You need to learn so many similar things, but they say that of course differently because they're 2 different languages, and that maybe could be very, very confusing and frustrating. So I would always recommend to have 1 intermediate language, and then if you are intermediate or advanced, then you can add a second language at beginner level. That's how I always do it. And mostly when you are a beginner, you need to invest more time in this language. So it would be a lot if you have 2 or 3 beginner languages. A lot of language studier who was just starting with studying do this mistake because they follow a lot of different languages, and then they start this language in beginner level, and then they struggle a lot because it's just too many languages in the beginner level, and it's just too hard to, you need to learn so many stuff. So really just only add a new beginner language if you already have a beginner, intermediate, advanced level in the other ones. To have certain days of the week dedicated to a language. For example, for me, on Mondays and Fridays is Farsi day, so I always study Farsi on these days. And the rest of the days right now I'm focused on Turkish because Turkish is my beginner level. Okay, I'm almost intermediate. I'm going there. I need to invest more time in this language because I'm a beginner. So I have the rest of the days for Turkish, and only Monday and Friday for Farsi because I already have a big knowledge of this language and I just want to improve it. Or what also other people do is they divide their day. So for example, morning Farsi, night Spanish. Yeah, it really depends on you, what you prefer. I think it's really nice to also divide it into morning and afternoon or nighttime, but I'm more productive in the morning, so I prefer studying in the morning languages. And at nighttime I do more passive studies. Yeah, so it really depends on you, what you prefer. Give each language a unique study routine. And with study routine, I don't mean like an exact plan, like on which days you study which page, and I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of this kind of planning, but I'm a huge fan of routines. So I just look up like resources that I'm gonna use, and then I make a list and write down, okay, first I'm gonna like study vocab. After that, I am going through this grammar book. Then I'm writing something. Then I'm reading something. Yeah, it's always like I always write down my routines that I'm gonna follow every time when I'm studying. So basically, I'm just creating a routine for each of the languages that I'm gonna study. Because most people then struggle that they don't know what to do, what to study right now, so just creating a list is really helpful. And then making like unique for every language. So for example, in the other language, you maybe focus on another aspect more, or you also, of course, you're using different maybe resources, or you have a different order. So just refreshing it, having also some cool activities that you enjoy. And also, I would really make some research and look up some resources that you can use, really deep resources. For example, you can search for some certain YouTubers that you like, and then already note down, okay, I will always then watch this YouTuber. So just making sure that you have fixed resources and fixed things that you're gonna do. Also like write down, okay, I will read exactly this book. So try to really make everything fixed for all the languages, your routines, so you don't need to think about it anymore, because thinking about it all the time, what should you do, is like really time consuming, and then you don't really study in any of these languages because you're just decision fatigue, you don't want to decide anything and so time confusing. So just take this process beforehand. So maybe just now note down like your routines for all the languages, and then just stick to it. And sometimes make some adaptations, because sometimes you get a higher level and then you need to make some adaptations, of course. So to sum up, learning multiple languages at once is not impossible, but it needs a lot of planning, and you need to really think well about it, so that you really progress in each of these languages and not be lost. Like most people then often lose the path, and they maybe sometimes in this language, and you don't really progress in any of these languages. So really try to plan well, create days, certain days or areas, maybe also for language learning, for which language gonna do this, and for this language you're gonna do this. So just divide it, and so you don't get confused, and you really stick to it, and you learn both of the languages. So have fun, I hope you enjoy, and please maybe write me in the comments which languages you are currently learning, and maybe also with what you are struggling. Maybe I can give you some tips. Really wish to hear about you.